Yo, what's going on, guys? It's vaquzz&Tattun here, and we are very excited to welcome you to the first episode of the DayDream podcast. In this podcast, we want to talk about everything Fortnite competitive related, and we will also have guests who will be experts in various fields. Just to quickly introduce myself, my name is vaquzz. I'm currently 16 years old, live in Germany, and I'm the Fortnite coach of Ace of Spades Esports.
Hi guys, I'm Taten. I'm 17 years old. I'm also from Germany and I'm currently the competitive Fortnite coach of Roske Esports. I'm really happy to be here, that we finally got everything together, our first episode, and let's see how it turns out. We will directly start with the big topic of this episode, which is FNCS, especially the first week of Season 6. Not only will we give you a quick overview what happened, and also our opinions. Also, we will give you a quick view what is happening on today's weekend, actually, week 2, and yeah.
We will firstly compare this season to the last season because there have been massive changes, and to talk about the loot pool at first would be the best thing, I guess. What do you think about the loot pool in this season?
So I mean, we are currently, I think, 4 to 5 weeks into the new season, or probably less. But I think the loot pool compared to last season is, from a competitive standpoint, a lot better. I think it's a lot more balanced, especially with the spares now not one pumping. I mean, the legendary can one pump, but let's be real,
Nobody gets a legendary one. No.
But like I said, it's really balanced, I think. Also, the early game gets a lot more balanced now because of the shotguns you can get in the early games. Everyone basically runs around with a green pump or a blue or green makeshift, so everyone has equal loot, and it's more about who can outplay the opponent or his opponent better.
Yeah, you really need to optimize your drop spot and fighting off spawn. And yeah, talking about the loot pool, I think actually it was more competitive last season, because there we didn't have one shot weapons. Now we already talked about the legendary punt, but nobody gets it. But I mean, the lever shotgun, I think, was the most balanced one because of the fire rate and the damage, actually. But the only negative thing I can think about last season was snipers, because if you overpick only for a second, you've got headshot sniped and stuff, and especially in solos, it ruined your whole game, and you cannot make any points anymore if you're getting headshot sniped. This was just really disappointing to most of you probably. But I think this season was quite well with the bows not headshot sniping, but now they patched bows can also headshot snipe, and it makes a bit more random. But the focus is on trio this season, and in the next season, and then season after the next season. So this means if you're getting headshot bows, you have a chance to still compete and make points. And I think it's not that bad like it would be in solos.
Yeah, I completely agree on this topic, but also what we have to keep in mind is that Epic is really trying to get a balanced pump out there. They tried the charge, they tried, like you said, the lethal, and I completely agree with you that the lethal was really balanced. Like you said, the shot or hit fire rate was really balanced, the damage was really balanced.
It's so sad that they patched this, bro.
Also, I mean, the legendary, I think we should go away from legendary weapons. Shouldn't feel like they are completely overpowered just because they are legendary, you know?
Yeah.
I think you should feel that it's definitely one of the best rarities, or the best rarity in the game, but we should definitely go away from, every legendary weapon has to be OP, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the changes to the pump meta, or they were just made because the community really wanted the spares back.
But getting back to FNCS, let's talk about the series points, because last season it was really easy to get series points, but overall the whole system changed. And what do you think about the series point system this season?
So not only this season, but since they implemented series points for or as a way to qualify for grants, I really think first of all, this change was a great idea because it gives these teams who are consistently placing at the top a chance to qualify for heats or probably then for finals. But they are missing out to qualify through 1 week, you know. They do not have
Yeah.
the skill. So it's a nice chance to give upcoming players another chance to qual for FNCS. But this season, I think with the changes that top 3 is instantly qualifying for big finals, the grand final, and the rest is going back to this competition for qualifying for heats through series points. I think it's, like you said, a lot harder because so many people are really need these points and really focusing on these points. So consistently staying at the top, consistently qualing for the next day is really important. And yeah, I personally think that it's a lot harder for the trios and for their mindsets because people are really depressed if they miss out on just 1 week because their chances really low to even make heats.
Yeah, and they got really forced from the series point system to stick with that trio, and I think it makes this whole thing kind of more professional if you stick with your trio, because splitting mid FNCS is obviously not good, but if it's like really not working, there's no way around. But if you stick with your trio and really focus on improving on everything, especially the early game, because the early game is the one of the most important like phases in the whole game at the moment. You easily just can look at other pros, like how they play the sport, review them, maybe copy some strats, or like just try to adapt to the strats on this drop spot and just simply get good at it. And
Yeah, I also just want to pick up the point that you said about it's more professional to not constantly split as a trio. I think or if you are a viewer, you really enjoy competitive from a viewer standpoint. I think seeing the same trio for like 3 seasons consistently, the players are streaming their practice, the players are streaming their tournaments. It really can build this relationship, and it really can get you more evolved as a viewer into the tournament. And it's also better for the broadcast or for broadcast overall, not only viewing parties or for the official broadcast, for example,
and the
to
organization.
really build, and to really build up these stories, you know. And you can plan long term, like I said, as an organization, you can really plan long term with for example, 2 players out of your organization and 1 player who is part of their trio, and to prepare them. You can really invest in them and make sure that your organization gets something out of it, because they won't split, you know.
Yeah, I think it's actually really important to stick with your trio, but it's actually the mentality of most of the players who are just depressed after splitting and don't really want to look for another trio mates anymore. And I just think this is another point which has to do with professionality. Not saying, yeah, he won't DM me either, or he won't respond to my DM or something like that. And I just think you need to give it a try. You need to really want to improve, because if you don't want it, where's the point, obviously? And yeah, so sticking with your trio is actually a key to succeed. If you cannot like talk to your mates anymore because you don't feel confident, because you can't say anything without getting violated or something, then there's actually no point. But yeah, so sticking with your trio, if you did well once, then just get back to these times, remember these times, what you did well and how you actually did well, and then just keep improving.
Yeah, also another tip that I can really give the people, because most people when they are looking for a trio, they really just, I don't know, like they give you an amount of PR you need to have to just slide in their DMs. But I think it's not about getting carried or the mechanical skill level. Trio is more about the relationship between the players and how they're communicating and how they are working together in fights. So I think if you have 2 other players at the same skill level, is better than having 2 players which are just carrying you and you are constantly behind. You're not on one page with them. So yeah, keep this in mind if you search for a trio.
Yeah, or if you're like way better than your trio mates, then there's no point as well, because you will always think, yeah, what they are doing. I would have done so much better and that stuff. Just always think about decisions before you make them, and you don't have to regret something after it. So yeah, that's the advice I can give to you. And yeah, as I already mentioned before, like the early game is a major aspect of this whole season, It's actually based on the early game because now we have a lot of really skill-based weapons, I can say. Like it's more skill-based the whole early game because now everybody has like a makeshift or a primer, a shotgun, who are not the best weapons, and you really need to optimize the drop, as I said before. And yeah, so how you can improve on your spot is I'd say like just watch reviewing pros and that stuff, and yeah.
Also, like go on your own games or go back in your if you play scrims. For
Mm-hmm.
example, you play a ladder or normal scrims. Just go back on your in or watch your watts back
Mm-hmm.
and watch your early game, and also think about, because most people just watch their late game and or mid game. This is completely fine, but I think most people miss out on the early game a lot, and you can really get much out of the early game if
Mm-hmm.
you watch it with an open mind.
Yeah, it
Because not
builds
only
your
can you,
conditions. Yeah.
yeah, not only can you like optimize your looting route. For example, I mean, these are minor things, but also if you're trying to create a looting route, have an eye on early game mats, because they are really a game changer in early fights.
Mm-hmm.
If you have more mats than your opponent, because you can basically control the fight after some time. So look back and watch for these kind of stuff in your bots in your early game. Will definitely help you in this matter. Like we said, early game is much more skill based now. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, in the early game, you don't have to fight your contest, because if you see that your contest don't want to fight you, then just probably leave it, because if you cannot win the fight 100%, then there's no point in ruining your conditions, because the early game builds your conditions for the mid and end game, and less mid game, because there's not like going on a lot in the mid game. It's just positioning, looking for storm surge tags, etc., depending on the format and if it's opens or not and everything. But I think like in the mid game there's now more importance on at least having one guy with a very good bow aim, because the bows got buffed, and it's actually free storm surge tags, because sometimes not everybody in the trio has a first shoot accuracy weapon, and this can actually like save you from dying to storm surge. And yeah, talking about mid game, in mid game you actually just want to look for a good positioning as well for storm surge, and a good positioning is depending on the zone. Like in the first zone it doesn't matter that much, because the next zone is kind of unpredictable, and you don't want to get like into the center, because there will be a lot of people and you can get third partied easily and all those kind of stuff. You rather want to chill on your drop, maybe go to edge, and then just wait for the second zone to get announced. And yeah, so like there's one thing I want to mention is when the fourth zone got announced, like you have two options basically. If you cannot rotate early, so rotate, the early rotate would be the first option. If you're rotating early, then you have the option to go in the center, as much in the center as possible, because like the next zone, the 50-50, won't be in the center, but you will have a very good opportunity to rotate then without a lot of problems. But if you cannot go early, then I'd recommend to just over ramp the people who based up on the fourth zone edge, and then you have it's like a high risk high reward. You also can wait for the fourth zone and then ramp up late if you can go, although you could go early, but then you have the chance actually to get the 50-50, and then you can hold hide and win the whole game. So it's a high risk high reward strategy actually, but I saw a lot of people doing it, and yeah, I think it's actually a nice strat.
Yeah, especially with this big high teams like we saw like CRR and Aqua.
Mm-hmm.
They're really playing high probably in finds every game and in opens most of their games. So
Mm-hmm.
I think when we look for this mid to late game, like you said, like third to fourth zone, you also can basically take. I won't say maybe it's a gamble, but if you're edge zone in fourth zone, edge zone, you basically have in 3 out of 4 cases a near zone or a zone on you, and
Mm-hmm.
just like in one case you have a zone that's really far and that's really hard to rotate. So you have a 75% chance to basically make half and half.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, with the utility we have nowadays, like peppers
Mm-hmm.
or this fish who actually gives you the effect of a pepper, you really can just take height, like you said, in fourth zone, and we see this
Yeah.
amongst many pros that they take height in fourth zone and just don't give it away. Also, they are most of the time in first to second moving. I think they are mostly focusing just second height, not focusing on kills.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, if you get height after like second moving, you won't get contested anymore, and everyone is playing for this top three, two
Yeah.
situation. Not anyone is looking for win.
Yeah, I think like compared to the previous seasons, it's actually now more skill to get high ground because you don't have any bounce pads or I don't know like rifts or something. Now you actually have chilies which make it more easy to get high ground. Like not compared to the previous season, but like easier than if you won't have a chili. With a pepper, it's actually easier, but I think a lot of people don't see if height is free, and they don't know what it means that high is free. So if the people on high ground are just focusing second height and want to make them scuffed or even drop, then there's a lot of opportunities to just tank storm. Most of the people are actually afraid to tank storm and everything, but it's actually underrated to use the peppers or just you don't even have to use a pepper and just take high ground, crank out from different heights. One guy is spraying from low,
Yeah.
maybe beam someone, and there's so many ways to actually get high ground, and high ground is actually the key to win the whole game if you're not very scuffed on mats and everything. But yeah, so I think people should look more on high ground. And talking
Yeah.
about if you cannot get high ground, there's now a very good way to get refreshes or a very good position with the stingfishes. I saw like my trio, Neps, Waze, and Bubak, who are qualified for grants after the first week because they placed second in the weekly finals. I saw them doing the strat like 3 times. It was basically Waze throwing a like stingfish on a top from people who are in storm already, and then they just easily could break in, like Booberg and Naps, because they won't get damaged from the stingfish. And yeah, then they were like really distracted, maybe panicking the guys in front, and then they just easily could get them knocked or even killed. Like easy refreshes, very good position. They are already ahead the storm, and yeah, so you really need to take advantage of those new items and look for very good strats. Maybe copy some from pros and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really think people, like you said, underestimate the ways you can take height.
Mhm.
I think, like you said, with a stingfish play, if people are pressured that they have to go in zone or to get in zone, zone is behind them, they have to late rotate, builds in front them, zone behind them, they really are nervous.
Mhm.
You can really take advantage. One of the examples you have is this basic high ground retake where you first moving, you go ahead, you look back, height is still trying to get in, look back, pressure height or spray height. Two of your mates are cranking. Height
Mhm.
has to drop because you are spraying them. The zone is behind them. They have to drop and you have easy height. Like you have really to take advantage, like you said, of the position of your enemy in movings. And what people also underestimate is also in finds we see this a lot. People try to, or not try, but they assume to forget that that side is basically exists in first moving
Yeah.
or movings overall. So most people are like, okay, third zone, there's that side, or fourth zone, there's that side, half and half, this is that side. But you have to overthink that the dead side is converting into the moving. And based on these infos, you can basically get top three every game because you just take so much advantage of your position and can force your enemies to make plays, like you said. You can force them to get scuffed on mats. You can force them to have low health,
Yeah.
And with this information, you can really get good and place good. Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, like, we don't have a lot of rotation items, which means we need to go into zone early, except like the option I mentioned before with the fourth zone. If you can take this high risk, high reward strat or something, like going into zone early is a major aspect, and you really need to take advantage of being the first in the zone, because then you can possibly cut off people who have to rotate into storm and get so many refreshes. Like just don't go straight into the middle, but just build a few boxes into the middle if you're on edge. I'd recommend always to be on edge, depending on the terrain, obviously. But if you're being on edge and you're already in the storm, maybe just build a few boxes in. Then you have more piece control on the people who are in the middle, who are most likely the most people in trios, and then you can get easy refreshes, as you like said, like force them to get to you, maybe to get scuffed and everything, and yeah.
Yeah, no, I think also what is really underestimated, because like we talk about strats that people use in FNCS or week one FNCS, and I reviewed, I think it was, well, let me actually, I think it was Janice
Mm-hmm.
and his trio, and when they are on mid ground, they really, for example, if you're on high ground, you try to pressure the second high team to get off your layer to not contest you. And people really forget about that you can do this on mid ground layers as well. Like you said,
Yeah.
if you are edge rotating, first moving, and people are on your layer, they're contesting you. They probably have some parts of your tart because they are like directly next to you. Just
Mm-hmm.
focus them up or down, just spray them and make them going down or up. So you have an uncontested layer, and if you are then that side and you have to, or you can left one side of your top open to save some mats,
Mm-hmm.
this is probably a top 3, top 5 situation for free,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But talking about like the preparation, because this is something really interesting this season, because now there's no sub customs anymore, because it's kind of pay to win actually, because you need to pay for your practice, and not everybody's willing to pay or can pay for those sub customs actually. And now they added a thing like maybe they want to do this with the cash cups as well, to give everybody a good like custom option, because it's very placement based format in the cash cups. But also like now with the aura and open scrims, they wanted to give the people a chance to practice, because there's no sub customs anymore, like really good customs for everybody, like open ones. But yeah, as I heard before, like the open customs, which were like 2 days before we recorded this podcast actually, I think it wasn't that good, because people were just griefing.
Yeah.
There was no money on the line, and they didn't take it seriously at all. But I think like the aura scrims were quite decent practice. But like the open ones, I don't know, bro.
Yeah,
It
like
was just
20 guys moving
they were
with
just
Scandal Stones.
griefing, because you can participate if you're a Division 3 in arena, and I don't know, that's like 2,000 points or something. Like anybody can compete, and I think if you want the real practice, you should really look for a Discord. But yeah, the cash cups are really good practice as well, and arena maybe as well. But yeah.
No, I definitely agree. Like,
Hmm.
seeing Epic taking another or going more or trying to listen to the community,
Hmm.
try to give scrims or try to give opportunities to practice,
Yeah.
not only with the current point system. They really try to give you practice for the big event. They took away some money from the cash cups.
Hmm.
They so they give it to FNCS. So the focus is on FNCS, not on cash cups anymore. So cash cups mostly are practice for
Yeah.
FNCS, and the aura scrims are also another way to get practice in. But I think I think Harry actually tweeted it out that it's sad to see people not taking
Yeah, and resub
this.
and Kinch.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they really. I mean, I can completely agree with this, because you actually, as a coach, you think, nice, there's Epic giving us practice. This is officially from Epic, and I don't know, maybe they can get some data from it, like improve the servers. It's great,
Hmm.
but since there's no money on the line, people don't really, or they just playing for the money. Just they are just not
Yeah.
they are not playing for the practice,
Yeah.
And yeah, this is another point of I think, or a problem we have in Fortnite competitive, that the people are so young that they really don't see the whole point in competing for practice. They just see the point if there's money on the line, and
Hmm.
this really is they are I think, yeah. it wasn't a great practice. So yeah, let's
Yeah.
see how they're evolving.
I hope actually that they will make major changes on this whole scrim thing. But overall, it's a very nice idea because I remember the times when you didn't had anything to do because there was no practice except arena. And arena, let's be honest, it's not a practice at all,
Yeah, just
except for
WP.
cash cups, but not like the cash cups today. So
Not
it's
anymore.
yeah, and I mean, it's actually nice that they want to give us more practice. Maybe, as you already said, get data to improve on the servers, which are like terribly right now. Like they have been really laggy before, but now it's laggy in a different way, I can say. But it's actually worse than in the previous seasons, and
Also, the
it's
early game is lagging a lot more, I guess.
yeah, it's the whole performance is really bad. But I hope they will make some changes before the next FNCS weeks and actually finals and heats as well. I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter a lot because it's laggy in the heats and grands anyways. But like in opens, it shouldn't be laggy that much.
yeah. I think what people really or they're not getting it when they are trying saying Fortnite servers are completely shit and stuff.
Hmm.
Like if it was so easy to fix the server problem, they would already have done it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't like that people complain about Fortnite servers, but there we have 50 guys moving. Like everyone is building, everyone is editing, everyone is shooting. There are a bunch of animals. The zone has to go somewhere.
Hmm.
You have to, I don't know, simulate day and night. I don't know. There's so
Yeah.
much going on, and I really think that they really tried their best, and I hope they can fix it somehow. But I can understand that it's really hard for the servers to work well. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, it's sad to see, and maybe they will fix it in the future. But I really think they are trying their best. You know.
Yeah, yeah, obviously they're trying their best because there's so many people working there. I don't think we even need to talk about financial things, but it's actually a
Yeah.
financial question, probably because to improve the servers, and yeah, I hope they will fix them soon, and we can get a good practice because like this is unplayable. Sometimes people cannot even move and get get into zone rotate. And yeah, this shouldn't be a thing in such a big competitive game, I can say.
Yes. Yes, yes. So yeah, like, do you have any last thoughts on this FNCS? Because if you do not, we probably have a look at the upcoming FNCS and maybe have a quick talk about it.
Um, yeah, so like the last FNCS was like the last week was really interesting to see because it was something else from the previous FNCS we saw. And I'm really glad that that one of my trios actually made it to grands in the first week. Now we are hard chilling, and
Yeah.
yeah, really proud that I can say.
Yeah, true, true, true. I mean, now you have much time to prepare and practice for grants.
Hmm.
Most people underestimate the time you have to put into prepare trio or to prepare trio well for grants.
Yeah.
That they actually can take their mechanical skill and get their brain on the same level
Hmm.
to really place high in grants.
Yeah.
And yeah, grants are a great opportunity to prove their themselves
Hmm.
to the community and yeah,
Yeah.
make some nice cash and yeah.
Yeah.
But like you already said, speaking of FNCS and finals, the upcoming weekend, there's another chance for people to qualify
Hmm.
or to earn some, like we already talked on, serious points for the FNCS Grand Finals.
Hmm.
So, or the heats actually. So I think there are not many things changing, but I hope that we can see more trios competing, since I think Kinch actually tweeted it out some days ago that I think last FNCS we had in the first week we had 30,000 trios competing,
Yeah.
and in this week we just had
Like 19.
19,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's like some people already said. I think it has much to do with the small time between season start and
Hmm.
FNCS. I mean, everyone who is taking competitive serious should be champ at this point, but there are
Yeah.
many people just trying to play 2 or 3 rounds of FNCS, and they are probably not on 6K arena points. So I think this can be a big change, and we will probably see more high kill wins in the first rounds. So I'm hyped for this and how this will change the leaderboard. And yeah, what are your thoughts, or what do you think?
I think there will be major changes because there's now more bad trios as well competing in opens, especially, and there will be maybe more kill points, so that people will make more kills in opens, and maybe you need to have more points to qualify for round 2 actually. So this is something I'm really excited to see, like how much you need more in the next week, like how much points you need more to qualify. And yeah, like the most important point is to always work more than the others. Like it's my overall motivation, I can say. Like even after NEP's quality grants after the first week, I think like we shouldn't stop and make like a break for one day. Just keep going and always do more than the others, and it will pay off 100%.
Yeah, try to stay on the top is pretty much like the best way to, or the main thought you should have in mind if you want to improve and make it in this game. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So speaking of content, maybe this FNCS, what are your thoughts on the how you can do content, maybe as a coach as well, not only as a coach, how you can cooperate maybe with some content creators, or overall like the players, how can they do content, especially with the aura scrims or like the whole tournament format? Do you think it's boring actually if it's only like end game based content, because now we saw a lot of people only making highlights, like stream highlights or something, or tournament highlights. It's only end game, like you never see an early game, especially from except from Mr. Savage Raw channel, because you see the whole game, which is really nice. I think it's a really nice idea, but it's actually very much end game based, which isn't a bad thing, but only seeing end game, I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think as a not only as a coach but also as a person who really likes watching competitive Fortnite, I really think seeing some Osborne fights or seeing these duels in the early game are nice to have, especially when you really have a team that is good in fighting Osborne. But I think if we look at the late game, there's so much going on in the late game, and I think it's more enjoyable than just people double keying, shitting on one trio after the other. So I think yeah, it's nice to have, and also players can not only make end game highlights or how to qual for semis or finals,
Yeah.
they can also probably make educational content like coaches do, maybe stream their practice with aura scrims or true cash cups. We saw Savage and Mongrel or Benji recently streaming a lot of the tournaments. And I think this is cause, like you said, the major focus is on FNCS, and these other tournaments are just practice. So if you keep this in mind, there are more opportunities to make content or to stream the tournaments without really getting, or the streaming is getting on their nerves because they don't really care about cash cups. Like you said, it's just practice, and yeah.
Yeah, what I really like though as well is that the like competitive community gets older and more like mature, and they're now more focusing on being professional, which means like focusing on content because it's more sustainable than actually focusing on staying a pro. If you look at Kiriachi, he's not doing content at all. Nobody knows
Cannot link a
why.
face to him.
Yeah.
Or to the, yeah.
And it's actually hard for him if Fortnite will get less popular and stuff to actually make a living maybe from that. But yeah, I actually like it to see people like doing their own projects, like doing as much content as possible, because showing your face out on the internet is another point which makes the whole thing more professional. At the end of the day, you just need to know who you want to be at the end of the day, and what you want to achieve with this whole thing. Is it just a hobby for you, or is it like do you want to make a career of that?
Yeah, I think this is basically the whole point of making this podcast, like you said, trying to get some content out there, trying to give people our thoughts and our opinions.
Yeah. Like I don't even
And
care
yeah.
about I mean I care about the feedback obviously because I wanted to make it the best way possible. But I don't care about the numbers or people saying that our English is bad or something. But we know how good or bad our English actually is. But it's actually a nice opportunity to improve on this English because if you watch this podcast back, maybe make some cuts and everything, then we will see what mistakes we are like repeating in every sentence and everything. And it's actually a good opportunity to see how we develop over this podcast. And I just can recommend this to everybody. Just do as many projects as you can. Don't neglect school or something. Just do it in your free time if you want to actually make a career out of esports. And yeah, you can improve on so many things. People get known you. Your English maybe gets better if you're not a native speaker. You're getting in touch with more people. You're sharing your opportunity, and this is actually a really good way, I guess, to um, just to test your limits and like discipline.
Yeah. I think now with getting a little bit off the topic, we can basically end this first episode
Hmm.
with like a good result, like you said. I
Yeah.
think we covered or we got really in depth on some topics, gave
Hmm.
some really interesting opinions, and maybe you can tell us your opinions or your thoughts on some topics we spoke about
Hmm.
or we have spoken about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was nice. I don't know. Do you have any last words or?
Yeah, I think you should definitely turn on your notice. So make sure to check out the socials in the description below, because we are always asking you guys on Twitter for like new topics, or if you have any questions or something we should mention in the podcast, we should talk about. And yeah, we have like some podcasts already made, which will be out like every. We try to make a podcast every week, but let's see how it turns out with school because of COVID and stuff. But yeah, that's the plan for now. And yeah, make sure to check out the socials, subscribe and like if you enjoyed it. And yeah,